Welcome, everyone. Welcome back. I'm so happy to be here with you today for episode 140. And this is all about holding your mission lightly. So, welcome all of you who are here live, all of you who are listening to the replay. My name is Lisa Espinosa, and I'm a spiritual career coach. And I coach helpers, change makers, visionaries, a lot of a lot of that means that you might be a therapist or a wellness professional, but it really isn't about your job title or career title. It's more about the fact that you've always had this longing, this prayer, this intention to help. Now, you might help through being of service, to help through helping people through transformation. There's many ways, but in this podcast, I am sharing just teachings from the 15 years that I've been doing this work to help you really do that. Share your unique gifts with the world in a way that feels really not just fulfilling, but like fills you up with energy and vitality. Hello, Roxana. So today it's all about holding your mission lightly. And this came about because I've been having this conversation, some version of this conversation with my clients a lot in the past few weeks and with myself, right? Everything I help my clients with, I've also needed help with. And so it's this idea when you're a helper, and I know that term might not be the term you use, I'm just using it as an overarching term. You can use whatever label feels good to you. But when you're a helper, you have a divine mission, right? I've talked about this. You have a sacred mission, you have a divine assignment that you volunteered for, like you chose it. It wasn't that God, spirit, the universe was like, you're going to be a helper. Like you, I truly believe that before we came into this life, some of us raised our hand and we're like, yep, I'm going to go down there on earth and be a helper, help raise the frequency of the planet, and so on and so on. And so when you have that as a mission, you were built in a way, designed in a way to really be committed to that no matter what. So, for example, when I think about my own life and I look back on my like the first 25 years of my life, there were a lot of challenges that I experienced, you know, getting pregnant as a teenager, going through my first marriage that was challenging, and just a lot of things. And so there could have been so many things that happened in my life that could have just distracted me from that mission. Because as a little girl, I always had that dream. I thought I was going to be a doctor, and I was like, I would like literally imagine, fantasize. Well, it was two things. I wanted to be a doctor or a teacher. And I was like, and I would just, that would be when I would think about the future. I was like, oh, I would just imagine myself. What I would imagine was that I would be traveling the world and I would be helping children. Like it was just like something that was so natural to me. And then life happened, and a lot of traumatic, dramatic things happened in my life. And so, as I was saying before, it could have been very easy for me to just get distracted from my mission and just focus on me. But when you're a helper, when you have that divine assignment, it's almost like impossible for you to forget your mission. It's such a deep longing that you have. It's like woven into your cells. It's just something that it might be so part of you that you can't even think about like forgetting it. You're just like, like, yeah, like that's always been what I'm here to do. Now, the shadow side of that, that's what I want to talk about today, because this is really important, is because we're so committed to it, it can start to feel like a burden. We can start to feel it as something very heavy. And our ego structure, everyone has one. When you are human, right? You're a soul having a human experience. When I use the word soul, you might use the word higher self, true essence, your divine self. I'm just going to use the word soul. Soul, you're a soul, so you're infinitely connected to source and the divine. And when you're a soul and incarnate with a human body and decide I'm going to go be a human also, you automatically get an ego structure. So this isn't something to be ashamed of, or it's just like important to know. Yeah, I am a soul having a human experience and I have an ego structure. And the ego, in a way, is always going to feel somewhat in conflict with your soul, because the ego structure doesn't understand the soul, the infinity, the infinite nature of the soul, the divine nature of our soul, right? The ego is very focused on the external, on what can be measured, what can be quantified. That's just what it's designed to do. And it's designed to look around and judge and evaluate and compare. Some of those things are helpful, of course, when we are a human. And a lot of those things can become burdens and can actually block our mission. So when you have this deep commitment and you're like, I know I'm here to help people, I know I'm here to share my unique gifts, to be my authentic self, to release everything that's inauthentic and really show up as the light that I am, you better believe the ego structure is going to get really loud. And one of the ways that it does that is it creates this like relationship with your mission. I want you to think of it that way. I invite you to think of it that way. Your relationship with your sacred mission that can feel really heavy, really codependent, meaning like that your identity, your self-worth, your confidence starts to depend on how you feel you're doing on your mission. And this can be very loud or very subtle, right? So let's step back a little bit. First of all, as a helper, what are you here to do? And I know everyone, when you're watching this, like, obviously we all have a unique mission. So it'll look different for each of you, as it's supposed to. But it's going to kind of fall into one of these categories. You're either here to bring about healing to other people, to walk with people through their transformations, to be a way shower, to be an example of what's possible, to bring about creative solutions. And creative solutions can be a new healing modality, a product, a way that you cook food or bake baked goods. I mean, so please do not notice if when I say this, if part of you is like, oh, well, I'm not a helper, I don't do any of those things. That is your ego talking, your ego structure. Your soul would never say something like that, right? So whichever of those it is, or some, I'm sure, maybe you're here, part of the way you help so much is that you're able to be a sacred witness to others, both when they're celebrating and when they're in pain. Part of your fulfilling your mission is also being really committed to your inner healing journey. That's one of the hardest things. So a lot of fulfilling our mission is quiet. Nobody ever sees it. Like nobody might ever see you in a session with your coach or with your therapist really doing deep inner work, or praying deeply, or meditating, or feeling all the fear and doing it anyway. Like there's so much of our mission that's quiet, that's nobody sees except your soul and God and the divine, right? And those divine beings that walk with you. And so those are all beautiful. That is part of your service. And so back to what I was saying, but when it becomes heavy, when it becomes a burden, the ego structure uses your mission because it will use everything. That's what the ego structure is designed to do, to separate you from your soul, to have you compare and despair. And that's what it'll do. You'll start looking at other people, right? Maybe other helpers, and be like, they're so farther ahead. They're providing so much more value than I am. Or their book is doing so much better than mine. Or they have so many more followers on social media. You fill in the blank. I might give some examples that you're like, I don't even care about those things. That's fine. But notice where does the ego ensnare you, right? It might be that there's certain milestones that you feel you should have achieved already. An amount of income, a living situation, family, right? That you might be like, I should already, whatever, fill in the blank, be in a happy relationship or have children, or the opposite. My children should be out of my home by already, right? There's just like so many things. So just notice. And also like, it's such a paradox because yes, you're here to help people. And I talk a lot about increasing your impact, helping more, really aligning with your soul's mission so that you create the most impact, the most transformation for the world. So there is that goal, that result that we're all seeking when we're here as helpers. And but it's not meant to be attached to our worth. So it's not like, oh, I had a class, I only had 5 people. I'm not as worthy as that person who had a class with 100 people. Again, that's all the ego. Your soul has such a higher perspective, right? So your soul might see like those 5 people that were in your class are going to have such impact on so many people. The fact that you shared your ideas with them, your healing with them is going to have so much more impact than this situation with 100 people there, right? And I'm just giving that as an example to open your mind to recognize how limited the ego structure is in their perspective. And so this idea of really holding your mission lightly, yes, being so committed to it, absolutely. And you commit and recommit, right? So this is something that's really important. When you commit to your mission, commit to your creativity, to sharing your unique medicine, your unique gifts, that's something you have to commit to over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And it's ongoing. And so that is part of the process. And you hold it lightly. You hold it lightly because you understand that what's needed the most is your intention, your commitment, and recognizing that God, the divine, the universe, whatever word you want to use, is using you. And I'm using the word using in the most beautiful sense, right? Like you're an instrument. You're a divine tool through which miracles and answered prayers can pour forth. And the most powerful way that source can use you, that the divine can use you to help, to transform, to raise the vibration of the planet, to be the lighthouse you're here to be, is when we let God, source, do the heavy lifting, right? When we recognize that, because when we're so trying to control it, like, I want to do this and this is my goal and this is how I'm going to get to help you. Like when we're so in this place, and I've been there, please, I know that I am not judging you at all. Like this is a human condition. And I'm bringing it to all of our attentions because it's one of the things that trips up helpers the most is that the paradox of, on the one hand, yes, you're meant to be so committed, so connected to your mission. And then on the other hand, the shadow side of that is that it could become a burden, right? It could be this like, oh gosh, and I'm not going to be successful until I do this. I'm not going to be worthy until I do this. Like that's all ego structure. It's not your soul, right? And so I wanted to show you this picture before I say that. So to be clear, your mission is supposed to light you up, fill you up, bring you vitality. It's designed to help you remember who you truly are and to clean up any codependency. And if you don't know what codependency is, I won't go into it so much about, usually we talk about being codependent in a relationship. So like you can think about in a codependent relationship, your happiness is dependent on the other person's happiness or what the other person thinks about you. It's a painful, toxic situation. And we all suffer from some degree of codependency because we have an ego structure. So part of our journey through this world, when we're committed to following our soul's guidance, is to heal all of that codependency, clear it, heal it, so we can be a pure vessel for the divine. And so again, remembering what allows you to hold it lightly, right? Instead of like, because I think a lot of us hold our mission like this heavy backpack. Oh, I have this heavy mission where I'm here to save the world and help others, and we're like crushed by it, right? That's one of the things I coach my clients in, where we've held it so heavy that we've burnt out or our body's gotten sick, or maybe you're past that, but now you're like, I'm not even gonna do anything. I'm gonna be always really careful because I don't ever want that to happen again. And so I'm going to tiptoe around my mission. That's also a problem, right? I've been in both extremes. I've been in the extreme of getting burnt out, incredibly sick, and all sorts of things because I carried my mission like this heavy, like boulder on my back. And then I went to the other extreme where I was like, I'm never doing that again. And I just kind of went through the world with this voice in my head of like, don't overdo it, don't overdo it, don't overdo it. And it makes sense that I went to that end, right? And fortunately, through my inner work, my meditation, through working with my coaches and everything, I was able to realize, oh, that's also a problem. I better come to this place of alignment with my soul that remembers I'm here to hold my mission lightly. It's actually meant to feel like wings, like the most beautiful wings on your back. Not heavy wings, but these light, beautiful wings on your back that are lifting you up, that are radiating your light to the world. And you're meant to continue to increase your capacity. So this isn't about staying comfortable and safe and never doing anything that's scary. No, your soul's going to guide you over and over to step outside your comfort zone. But when you're doing that with your soul, with alignment, remembering that God, the divine, is doing the heavy lifting. And not only God, but all those divine beings, those ascended masters I talk a lot about. Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, Green Tara. I mean, there's ascended masters from all traditions. These are these divine beings that are here as our guides. If we have free choice, so we can decide we don't want them as our guides. But if we decide that, yeah, I would love for you to guide me, to help me, to be my protector, we can allow that. And they also, so one of my guides that I work with a lot here, I have a statue of Our Lady of Guadalupe. It's Guadalupe, right? Our Lady of Guadalupe and Mother Mary. And so they remind me over and over and over, Mother Mary reminds me over and over and over. It's like, let me do the heavy lifting, meaning Mother Mary, right? That she's like, many of us, I'm just going to use Mother Mary as an example. And again, beyond any sort of religious dogma, we're talking about the ascended master that she is, the master she was as a human. This is beyond any religion. And so she often, she's very, very well known for tapping people on the shoulder and like the helpers especially, and being like, okay, part of your mission is to channel my miracles to people. But she doesn't come to us with this burdensome energy. Like she's not like this, toxic boss. It's like, okay, you're going to go help all these people. Don't eat, don't take care of yourself. Put them always first. You got to sacrifice. That is not how it is, right? Divine beings like Mother Mary, yes, they tap us on our shoulder because they know your gifts, right? So Mother Mary knows my gifts. She knows your gifts. And maybe it's not Mother Mary for you. Maybe it's Kuan Yin or Buddha or Jesus or Green Tara. And they're like, you're here to help these people. These are your gifts. And God and the ascended masters, source, they need people in human bodies, right? They need us here. We're the boots on the ground to do the work, when I say we do the work is like to channel those miracles. But they don't mean that to be a heavy burden. But in our human ego self, we can take it on like, oh, it's my burden. And it's not our fault. Part of it is programming, right? I've talked about this before. These old thought errors that what a helper is supposed to sacrifice herself and be a martyr and all sorts of things, right? That's one of the things I coach my clients in, is releasing the martyr identity. Because the truth is that your mission is supposed to be light, right? Jesus has that saying, like, I always mess it up. I'm like terrible at re-quoting the Bible, but I know that has this quote of like his burden is light, right? That is like, it's meant to be light, like these beautiful wings. And so this was the picture I wanted to show you. This was an oracle card I pulled for myself a few days ago. And I was like, this so shows perfectly what it's meant to be. And I'm not saying I walk around like this all day long by any means, but it's my intention and goal. And I really believe this is how the helpers, how we're being guided to fully step into this, because the level of help and work and support that humanity needs right now and is going to increase is huge. What I mean by that is there's a lot of problems in the world. There's a lot of polarity. There's a lot, it's like the birthing pains that the planet is going through right now. So those of us who volunteer to come forward and be helpers, there's more that's going to be asked from us. but it's not meant to weigh us down. That's why our soul and all these divine beings are teaching us these things. That's why I'm teaching it so much, because we're meant to learn this so that we are ready for like the masses of people that we're going to be here to pray for, love, guide, be an example for however you show up for your medicine. So this is looks a little starry because it's the Beyond Lemuria Oracle. So her drawings are a little like starry beings, which I love. So look at this. And it says water and it says overflow. So look at her. And I love that she has many arms and there's all of this light coming forth. I don't know if you can see, but she also has tears coming down her eyes. And so this is like, to me, this is like receiving the divine, right? Your gifts that you already have, your divine curriculum from all the experiences you've had in your life. That's why so many of us helpers had so many challenges in our lives. It was part of the training, right? And she's receiving all of this light, and it's like, and she's in this flow. So there's no overwhelm. So notice that, like it's all flow. It's like, this is that state of knowing like, okay, I am an instrument, right? Like that beautiful St. Francis prayer, make me an instrument of thy peace. So make me an instrument for the miracles, for love, for joy. And like, so that's what I mean about holding our mission lightly. But we weren't taught this, right? We were taught, like that, almost even this pride in like how much we're suffering and how hard it is and how little time we have for ourselves. And please know, I'm not judging that. Again, I'm not dismissing the real life circumstances that can make that happen. I mean, I am a mom of 5. I know they're all young adults now, but I remember how busy that was. I was a teacher in middle school, right, of teenagers. I mean, there's a lot of things, right? So I'm not suggesting that we dismiss that. And again, that's why this is like sacred mission, like holding it light, right? Just like really see that. And I invite you to just remember this mantra or this, and you can use your own words, but the one I'm going to share just can be a starting point. My mission is sacred, but it is not a burden. My mission is sacred. It is not a burden. It is meant to be light. My mission is light. And there's so many play on words, right? It's light, like not heavy, but also light, like loose, right? Like light. And so whatever, however you want to name it or describe it, but this is something that's really important. And I share this and we're going to end soon, but last week I had a retreat for the helpers, right? I did a little retreat and it was so wonderful and amazing. And one of the things I shared, in fact, I'm going to do a free workshop next week about this. You're the first ones to hear about this. So I invited them at the end. We did a whole journey from last August to this August. I led them through a meditation so that they could integrate all the initiations, and I did energy work. Anyway, it was all this amazing stuff. They also got a medicine bag, like not for me, from their soul, and kind of to look in and be like, okay, what are the tools? What are the crystals that are here to be my allies? What's the plant medicine? By the way, they have the replay till September 21st. So if you're hearing this and you want to purchase the replay, you can still do that. Okay. It's $44 and you do get a free guest pass. So if you buy the replay, you can also gift it to someone. Anyway, that's not what I was going to say. At the end of the retreat, I was like, oh, okay, so now how do you receive, now that you've integrated, now that you've looked back and, really chosen or had your soul help you see what are the lessons, what are the gifts of the last year, meaning August to August. And then what's the waste? What do I need to release? So after that whole process that we did, now you're open and clear to receive the vision for these next 4 months, September, October, November, December. And I guided my client, I invited the students to create a value plan, a sacred value plan. And this isn't a to-do list. In fact, I did a little reel on Instagram or a post on that you can read. And it's like it's where you really sit with your soul and you ask, like, how am I meant to add value these next 4 months? This is for everyone. So even if you're recovering and there's not a lot of action you're going to be doing, you're still here as a helper. You're always adding value. And so when I did this for myself, I was inspired to share it with them because I had just done my value plan. It was mostly the same things. I'll go into details next week in the free workshop. But the key that which relates to this was my soul was like, you have to have fun. And I was like, what? And it was like, fun. And I realized have a tendency to hold my mission very seriously. Even if it doesn't feel exactly like a burden, it just feels like really serious. And part of that is that my life has been really serious for a long time. There's been a lot of really serious things that happened in my life. So I knew for my soul, I was like, oh, like this is my stretch. This is my expansion, right? That's how I'm going to actually have the most stamina and vitality to reach people. And so if that interests you, next week, Thursday, I believe it's September 4th, at 11 a.m., I believe, or 12 Central. It's a free 1-hour workshop. It's not a masterclass, it's a 1-hour workshop. So workshop meaning bring your pens and papers, and I'm going to guide you to do your own sacred value plan. So I know I talked about it in the blog this week. I shared a reel on it and I talked about it a little bit in the retreat. But after I was done, I was like, I really feel like I want to give more details on this, like to just guide you through the process, because it's so easy when we're doing our sacred value plan for the ego to get in the way, just like totally gets in the way and takes over, and we overcomplicate it. And then it doesn't become the value plan. It becomes a to-do list that feels like a burden. And I don't want it to be that. So this is going to be a free workshop. Next week, you will get the replay. So if you want to sign up, I'll put the link in the comments. And I would love for you to do that, because I want you to have, this is the plan is like that you have like a one sheet, not like a book of things to do, but a one sheet of like your soul's marching orders, basically. But your soul's marching orders are like the best marching orders ever, right? Your soul doesn't want you to be burdened, so that you can see like, oh, this is how I'm going to add value the next 4 months. And it might not even look different than what you already do. It's just how you approach it. But I'm going to really walk you through a process to do that. It'll be a 1-hour workshop. It is free. You'll get the replay. I don't remember for how long, but you'll get the replay. And I would love to see you. I think I was just like, when I was tuning in, I was like, this would be it's part of my value plan, right? To help you create your value plan. That's part of how I'm adding value, is to help you create a value plan that is truly led by your soul. Because that's how you're going to, why? Not only for your people, because whoever your people are, your clients, your students, strangers you meet in the world, your family, but for you to be blessed by it. First and foremost, your sacred value plan blesses you. I want you to remember that. All right, so we're here at the end. I'm just going to pull a card. And I think I'm going to pull from the same deck, from the Lemurian. And it's going to be, what is it called? Lemurian, Beyond Lemuria. So it's going to be about this, about holding your mission lightly. And I love this deck. I feel like the images, it does have a booklet, but I'm not gonna read the book information. I just want you to take in the image. And of course, this is recorded, so you can always go back and pause as you look at the image and kind of receive your own intuitive guidance on what's the message for you about how you remember the sacredness of your mission and release the burden of it and allow it to be light and joyful, right? So we already got the first one that I pulled for myself, but I'm sharing with you. I knew it wasn't just for me. And now let's see. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. Number 54. Trust your innocence. Look at this. Trust your innocence. Right away, what comes to mind is your beautiful inner child. And of course, you have more than one. You have inner children. But there's something about it, like that. Trust your innocence. There's something about how that is in alignment with your sacred mission, and how that your innocence is going to drive that lightheartedness. Especially if you have parts that have felt like you need to be punished, or like you've made a mistake, or who knows. Right? Trust your innocence. That is so beautiful. All right, my dear, thank you so much. Okay, I could literally sit here and pull cards for you all day. So I'm not going to do that. Maybe one day I'll do that, like a Oracle card marathon or something. But sending you so much love. I will see you next week for the podcast episode 141. And for the workshop, I hope to see you there. It is a free 1 hour workshop. I will be going to Ireland. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be going for another sacred pilgrimage. It's going to be amazing. When I come back so filled up and ready to bless you even more. But that means there'll be I think that'll mean it'll be 2 weeks that I won't be doing the podcast. So I really want to see you. Would love to see you before I go to Ireland. All right. Bye. I'm sending you so much love. Thank you, Roxana, and anyone else. Sometimes Facebook doesn't show me because this goes live on YouTube and Facebook who's watching, or I can just see numbers. So please know I feel your energy. I'm sending you so much love. And if you're watching the replay as well. All right. Bye, everyone.